He has been sitting in his car for 11 minutes. Engine off, hands in his lap, just sitting. The office building is right there. He is not going in yet. He does it sometimes on Thursday evenings, gives himself a few minutes in the car between the version of himself that performs at work and the version that comes home and tries not to think too hard about the numbers. His name is Marcus. He is 34 years old. He earns $72,000 a year. His LinkedIn looks solid. His friends think he is doing well. And Marcus cannot remember the last time he felt like he was actually ahead. The average 34-year-old in America has less than $45,000 saved for retirement, not invested across multiple accounts, not building toward freedom. $45,000 saved for retirement at 34. At that rate, compounding at 7%, the average 34-year-old will retire with roughly $280,000. The recommended amount to retire comfortably is $1.2 million. That $920,000 gap is not a small miscalculation. That is a life. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus is not lazy. He is not reckless. He does not make dramatic financial mistakes. Marcus is what happens when you make reasonable decisions for 10 years in a row, and none of those decisions were quite the right ones. Today, I am going to show you the 3 traps that are keeping Marcus and millions of people exactly like him running hard and going nowhere in their 30s. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will see exactly which one is yours. Alright, let me tell you why your 30s are the real exam. Your 20s were the practice round. Expensive, formative, often painful, but practice. Your 30s are different. The decisions you make between 30 and 40 will determine the financial trajectory of the rest of your life. Not because you cannot recover from mistakes after 40, you can, but because the compounding math becomes less forgiving with every year that passes. $1 invested at 30 is worth significantly less at retirement than $1 invested at 25. And $1 not invested at 32 because something more urgent arrived is $1 that never compounds, ever. The 30s are the decade where the gap between people who are building wealth and people who are performing wealth becomes permanent. Marcus has been performing, he just did not realize it, until the parking garage, until the math. Trap number 1, not maxing out retirement accounts. When Marcus was 26, his company offered a 401k with a 4% employer match. He enrolled. He contributed 2%. He thought, I will increase it when things settle down. At 28, he got a raise. He spent it on a nicer apartment. He meant to increase the 401k contribution. He forgot. At 30, his best friend got married and Marcus was best man. Between the suit, the bachelor weekend, the gift, and the flights, he spent $4,200 in 4 months. He considered pausing his contributions temporarily. He did not pause them, but he definitely did not increase them either. At 32, he opened his retirement account and looked at it properly for the first time. He had $18,000. His company had been matching contributions up to 4%. Marcus had been contributing 2%. Which meant for 6 years, he had been leaving 2% of his salary on the table. Free money, every single month, left on the table. Over 6 years at his salary, that unclaimed match was worth roughly $8,600. Marcus stared at that number for a long time. And here's what I need you to understand about that moment. He had not lost that money through recklessness. He had not gambled it. He had not made a dramatic financial mistake. He had simply not paid attention. And inattention in your 30s costs you in a way that inattention in your 20s does not. Here's the math he should have seen at 26. If Marcus had contributed the full 4% from age 26, capturing the full employer match, and increased to 10% at 30, he would have an additional $47,000 in his retirement account right now. Not from higher returns, not from market timing, just from using the account he already had the way it was designed. The 401k match is the only guaranteed 100% return on investment that exists. If your employer matches contributions and you are not maxing that match, You are turning down free money every single payday. The reason most people in their 30s are not doing it is not because they cannot afford it. It is because the immediate present always feels more urgent than the abstract future. But the abstract future is not abstract anymore. For Marcus at 34, it is 10 years away, and 10 years is not enough time to make up for the years already spent. If this is hitting, drop a like. It genuinely helps more people find this. Subscribe if you want to keep building. Trap 2 is the one Marcus is most embarrassed about. Trap number 2, staying in the wrong career too long. Marcus's job is not bad. That is the problem. If it were bad, if it were toxic, if it were clearly wrong, he would have left by now. The burning building forces you out. The lukewarm room lets you stay indefinitely. Marcus works in financial operations at a mid-sized company. He is good at it. His reviews are positive, the work is steady and unglamorous, and he has been doing it for 9 years. He earns $72,000. The ceiling in his current role is roughly $85,000. He has known this for 3 years. When Marcus was 28, he thought about pivoting into financial technology. The salaries were higher, the work was more interesting, he looked into it seriously. He decided he would make the move in a year when things were more settled. At 30, he thought about it again, but he had just received a promotion. It felt like the wrong time to leave. At 32, he had a conversation with a recruiter, a fintech company. The role paid $95,000. He got to the final round. And then he turned it down. He told himself the risk felt too high. He was comfortable where he was. At 34, sitting in the parking garage, Marcus does a calculation he has been avoiding for years. If he had made the pivot at 28 and grown his income at the rate of the fintech market, conservatively, he would be earning somewhere between $95,000 and $115,000 right now. The difference between $72,000 and $95,000 over 6 years invested is over $100,000 in lost wealth building capacity. Not because he made a reckless decision, because he made no decision. He stayed. This is the trap that is unique to your 30s. In your 20s, you can afford to explore, to experiment, to make wrong turns. In your 30s, the cost of inertia compounds. Every year you stay in the wrong career, your income ceiling stays where it is. Your skills calcify in the wrong direction. Your network deepens in an industry you do not want to be in. And your confidence in your ability to do something different quietly erodes. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because the opportunity disappears, because the sunk cost grows. You have invested so much time, so much identity, so much of your professional history that leaving starts to feel like abandoning something rather than building something. It is not abandonment, it is a decision. The question Marcus has been refusing to answer for 6 years is not whether the move is risky. The question is whether the cost of staying is higher than the cost of going. At 34, with the math in front of him, the answer is clear. It has been clear for a while. He just did not want to look at it. One more trap to go, and this is the one nobody wants to talk about because it involves the people you love. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into it. Trap number 3. Keeping up with friends, weddings, holidays, dinners. Marcus had 7 close friends from university. He loves them. This is important to say before everything else. He genuinely loves these people. In the last 3 years, those 7 friendships have cost him $23,400. He knows this because he added it up one night when he could not sleep. 3 destination weddings, one in Portugal, one in Mexico, one in Scotland. Flights, hotels, outfits, gifts. Average cost per wedding, $3,200. 2 group holidays, Ibiza and a ski trip. His contribution each time, roughly $2,100. Regular dinners, the kind where someone books a restaurant and everyone agrees and nobody mentions that the bill for 4 people is going to be $280 before tip. Twice a month, conservatively, for 3 years, $6,840. Birthday celebrations, leaving parties, engagement dinners, spontaneous weekends away, the rest. $23,400 in 3 years on maintaining membership in a social world that had become one of the most expensive commitments in his life. And Marcus paid every single bill without complaint, because saying no felt like saying, "You are not as successful as the rest of us." Because opting out of the Portugal wedding felt like opting out of the friendship. Because the dinner is just dinner until you add up 3 years of just dinners. This trap is particularly devastating in your 30s because your social circle has money now, or appears to. The comparison has upgraded from who has the nicest phone to who can afford the nicest table at the nicest restaurant in the nicest city for someone's birthday. And the social pressure to participate, to not be the one who said they couldn't make it, to not be the friend who visibly cannot keep up, is one of the most powerful financial forces in an adult's life, because it is disguised as love. Marcus does not resent his friends. He resents the version of himself that never once said, "I cannot afford that right now." Here is the reframe, and I need you to hear this clearly. Protecting your finances is not the same as abandoning your people. The friend who loves you does not require you to go into debt to prove it. The wedding you attend via a video call because the flights cost $1,400 is still a wedding you attended. The dinner you host at your apartment is still time with people you care about. The most financially sophisticated thing you can do in your 30s social life is get comfortable saying, "I am going to sit this one out," without guilt, without a long explanation, without the performance of financial ease you cannot afford. $23,400 over 3 years, invested at 7% over 30 years, is $178,000. Marcus did not calculate that number until it was already spent. Let's go back to the parking garage. It is still Thursday evening. Marcus is still sitting in his car. 11 minutes have become 15. He is not thinking about the retirement gap right now. He is thinking about something smaller, something he has been avoiding because it is easier to blame the system, the economy, the cost of living, easier to blame anything external than to look at the specific decisions he made with his specific money in his specific life. He is thinking about the recruiter call at 32, the fintech role, the final round he walked away from. He is thinking about the Portugal wedding, which was beautiful, and which cost him $3,200 he put on a card he spent 4 months paying off. He is thinking about the 401k contribution he has been meaning to increase for 8 years. And here's the thing about Marcus that I need you to understand. None of those decisions were stupid. In isolation, every single one of them made sense. The comfortable job felt safer than the risky move. The wedding felt non-negotiable because the friendship is real. The 401k increase got postponed because something more immediate always arrived first. The trap is not in the individual decisions. The trap is in the pattern. The accumulated weight of 10 years of reasonable choices that added up to a position that does not feel reasonable at all. Marcus is going to go inside in a minute, but tomorrow morning, for the first time in a long time, he is going to do 3 things. He is going to log into his 401k and change his contribution to capture the full employer match, today, before he talks himself out of it. He is going to call the recruiter back, not to accept a job, to have a conversation, to find out what is possible, to stop letting the question go unanswered because answering it feels scary. And he is going to text the group chat about Croatia, the holiday someone suggested last week, and he is going to say he cannot make this one, without guilt, without a long explanation, without the performance. 3 decisions made before the reasonable reasons arrive to stop him. Your 30s are not over. The gap is real, but it is not permanent. The pattern can be interrupted, but only if you stop waiting for a better time to interrupt it, because the better time is not coming. The better time is Thursday evening in a parking garage when you finally stop lying to yourself about the numbers. I am Major. Subscribe if you want to keep building. I will see you in the next one. Stay superior.